All right, troops, welcome to the action. My name is Owen. I am joined by my usual friends, Jaden and Stephen. How are you?
Good.
Good, thanks.
Friday.
Oh, yes, happy Friday, everybody. And tonight we're going to be talking about the much maligned and frankly what I think is underrated, the Last Action Hero starring Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. To me, this is just like a love letter to the action genre. And that's just the whole point of it. I mean, Empire magazine did this great article a couple of years back where they were talking about like the process of the movie being made and how it was like just total shit show, and it went through tons of writers, and it was initially called Extreme Violence, and it was going to be like this more like violent adult oriented movie. And then it went through like a ton of different writers, like Shane Black, believe it or not, Carrie Fisher actually did some writing on the script. And it went through like all these various writers. And frankly, I'm amazed that the movie turned out as entertaining as it did. I mean, yes, it has its flaws, but I still just enjoy it just for, like I said, the love letter to the genre. There's so many, there's more references to it. Like it's like an MCU movie. There's like all these little Easter eggs going on. Like, at one point there's like the Die Hard music plays, and you got the Lethal Weapon music at one point, and the guy saying 2 days to retirement, and which I thought was hilarious. So yeah, tons going on in it, but I'm going to shut up and I'm going to go over to you guys. So start off with Stephen. Your thoughts on Last Action Hero?
Oh, it's brilliant. Like I actually brought a prop today. So there's this book called Fiasco. A history of Hollywood's iconic flops. If you haven't read it, read this book. This book is real, especially if you're into Hollywood movies, because this is everything. This is Waterworld. This is Cleopatra. It's not Heaven's Gate and Island Dr. Moreau, because they already wrote books about that. But it's everything. It's Ishtar. And Cutthroat Island, and Chapter 9 is Last Action Hero. When you read the story behind it, the story is just as fascinating as the movie, I find. It was a really clever idea, and I think that the thing is that they sort of marketed this movie wrong. They sort of marketed it as another Schwarzenegger vehicle without really getting into the fact that this movie was completely different than anything he ever made. Like, completely different. I hate to use the word deconstruct because it's way overused, but it's satirical to the action genre. It's an action movie while also being somewhat satirical about the action genre.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a brilliant film. I don't know if you guys remember the trailer. I remember going in, watching in the theater, and like all this crazy crap is happening. And then Arnold shows up, and he's like, "Not yet." And
Not yet. Yeah. The shutter over. Yeah.
I was like, "This movie's going to be awesome." And then everyone crapped on it. I'm like, "What happened?" I didn't go see it in the theater. I saw it off VHS. My dad rented it, and I watched it. I'm like, "This movie's brilliant. Why does everyone think this movie sucks?" You got action, you got humor, which is always what when you get a Schwarzenegger film at his best. You got both. It's such a clever idea. I love Charles Dance as the villain.
He steals the show.
Yeah, he's just genius. Him coming out of the and then like they got what's his name from The Exorcist, Max von Sydow. He was deaf. I was like, what the hell is going on? He's right out of an Ingmar Bergman movie. I'm like, that's genius. Robert Patrick walks by, like there's
Sharon Stone. And she's the Basic Instinct white costume.
Yeah. It's just like incredible. And it doesn't get enough credit too. It's one of those movies where the kid is not annoying.
He's actually appealing. Yeah, you actually like him. Yeah.
He was so cool, and like it was such an imaginative film. It spoke to moviegoers, like The Golden Ticket and all that. It spoke to them. It's a great film. I actually think it's one of Arnold's best, and that's saying something because there's a lot you could put in there. And I think it's finally got its appreciation, or started to get its appreciation out, because I think people realize it's not a bad film. It just went way over budget, and it didn't make its money back. that doesn't mean it's a bad film. And the funny thing is, in this book, a lot of the films aren't bad. It's just that, like, Jamie, I know you've seen Cleopatra, and you're like, the movie's incredible. You know, Cutthroat Island isn't bad.
I've never seen Cutthroat Island. Is it worth seeing?
Sure, yeah, I liked it.
It's pretty good. There's nothing wrong with it. Waterworld is pretty good. Yeah. Like none of these movies are bad. And Last Action Hero is actually what I would consider a cut even above those. Like, this movie is genius. I don't know why, other than the marketing getting screwed up and all the rumors about going over budget and all these writers and da-da-da. Like, the hype screwed it, not the movie. The movie's great. So Last Action Hero is definitely like a top grade film in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, initially one of the things I was reading was how the old guy in the theater was more demonic, and he was like going to be like a villain, and then it turned him into like the kindly old man. And one of the things that I loved is how like just the whole set design of the theater itself, where it's just this magical, wistful place. And then you go outside, he's in New York, and it's like, you know, shitty New York, and there's crime and everything going on there. And it's kind of New York as hell, you know. But I just love that idea that it's just a whole escape to the movies, which is just, you know, this is literally what that's about. So yeah, that was really cool. Give Me Back My Action movie said I need to watch Cutthroat Island for sure. You know, I'm going to watch that. I've got to watch all the Halloween movies over the next week for a stream next week, so I'll do that. Waterworld is an absolute favorite of mine. It had Ali Young. Yeah, Ali Young's in this too. Okay, so Jay, Last Action Hero.
I mean, there's so much to say. This is one of these I didn't get the memo movies. I didn't see it in the theater. A couple of buddies of mine showed it to me on VHS, and I was like, wow, this is like the best ever. And we're all like just walking around saying this is the awesome movie. And then like literally 10 years later, I found out that everyone hates this movie and it's trash. I was like, oh my God. There's these long lines of movies where, you know, LXG is one of them. Waterworld, you know, I saw that in the theater, and I'm like, this was a cool movie. So anyway, so Last Action Hero, I'm like, really? Like, this is bad? I'm like, it's brilliant. First of all, the golden ticket, which immediately makes me think of Willy Wonka, which is, you know, for me, my chocolate factory sort of was the movie theater. So I identified with this kid immediately because I like going to the theater. It's a magical place where you escape the real world. You watch something really cool. Using Schwarzenegger was genius because he was someone who was larger than life. You could believe in him. He sort of made, I don't want to say it's the same movie every time, but he was consistently making good movies that you could trust were going to be fun and entertaining. So that was a good choice for Schwarzenegger vehicle. Like, I don't think Stallone would have been better, for example, because Stallone makes different types of films.
He's better than Terminator 2.
Right. I absolutely love all the in jokes for the movie industry. I love the Stallone is the Terminator. That's great. I love why does everyone look so good? It's like Angie Everhart, I think, is like one of the girls at the counter, and you're like,
no unattractive women in the cool garbage cans in the background.
He's like, come on, he goes, it's California. And then the idea of the villain. See, this is the kind of movie that went above and beyond, because the premise is that the kid gets the ticket, he pulls his favorite guy out of the movie. The cool thing about it is that these little subplot things, like, firstly, this is the 4th Jack Slater film. So it's already established that Jack Slater has done all these movies, and you can tell how they're going to be. So the kid has not seen Jack Slater 4. He's the first one to see this. So even the plot within the movie is cool because the kid is using his knowledge of action films to help Schwarzenegger solve the problems of the movie that he's in, even though he hasn't seen it. This isn't like you and me going into Terminator 2 and saying, okay, I know where the T-1000 is going to be, right? This is us going into Terminator 3, not having seen Terminator 3, but having knowledge of the Terminator franchise. It's kind of cool. It's a little bit mind-bending because you're like, yeah, this is like, I want to see the Jack Slater movies. Like,
yeah, that's what I was going to say that. I was like, I want a Jack Slater franchise. Why'd that never happen?
And he always wears the same thing.
Cowboy boots and everything, yeah.
He's got the shirt and all that. So there's just so many little details going on, and how the kid starts to realize he's like, oh, I can't die. I'm a kid. I'm not going to die. And then he's like, oh, wait, I'm a sidekick. I'm a comedy sidekick. Oh my God. I'm not going to die. So that's kind of fun. But then the next, so again, it takes it to the next level again, because now the villain gets the power, which is so cool because you're like, oh, and then he pulls the villain out of the last movie, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm going to get Freddy Krueger. Like, he starts listing off, like, he's like going through, he's like, shit, I'm going to get all these guys in here. And I'm like, oh my God. And then this is a movie where your imagination starts to go crazy. Because firstly, you're like, well, if I had the golden ticket, what movie would I go into? First thing you think of once this movie is done, you're like, what movie would I go into? Or who would I pull out, right? But then for the villain to get that power, now you're like, oh man, if I was trying to kill him, who would I get? And then you're like, oh, I'm going to get Michael Myers. I'm going to get Jason, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much to celebrate in this movie. Even the surface level narrative is good anyways, of the kid getting a ticket and hanging out with his hero. I feel that there's a lot of heart in this movie. When he says to, Schwarzenegger says to the kid, he's like, he goes, you know, you believed in me in the movies, and how, you know, how come you don't believe in me now, right? Because now he's in the real world, right? And it's like, well, you know, it's different, you know. And I felt bad. I like that Schwarzenegger starts to realize that, you know, look, I'm not a real person, and I felt kind of sad for the character of Jack Slater.
Yeah.
But I also liked how Schwarzenegger is himself in the movie at the premiere. And he's being a goof. He's a bit of a goof, right? He's making fun of us. So he's like, I've got to promote this and promote that. Yeah. And my wife's like, stop promoting this thing. It's like, no, I have to promote my stuff. It's like, and then he can't say, and then it's so funny because Jack Slater can't say his real name. He's a Braunschweiger or whatever. So like, even he doesn't know how to say it. Punching the glass, he's like, oh, my hand hurt. Like, you can't just do that. And then when he gets shot, and it's like he gets back into the movie, and he's like, oh, it's just a flesh wound, he's fine, right?
Yeah.
All of those things are so well done. I think there's a lot of heart to this movie. I think it's like, I'm not just underrated. I actually think it's really good. I think it's a fun movie. Anyone can watch it. There's nothing. It's got all the action stuff, but it's not vulgar action. It's like there's not too much gore. So
it's 13, so
anyone can watch. Like my wife got enjoyment out of it. And I didn't even rewatch it for this. The last time I saw this movie was years ago, but I remember like everything because it just stays with you because it ties into something that you want. When a movie connects in this way, where you're like, man, I wish I had a golden. Like right away, I'm like, I wish I had a golden ticket. I'd love to go into like Star Wars, or I'd love to, you know, maybe pull out, you know, somebody from a movie, like pull out Conan and see what he would do in our world or something like that. So right away, that immediately connects you to the movie, no matter who you are. And the people that were kind of down on this movie, I felt that they just didn't have an imagination that took them to the places that this movie wanted them to go. And I don't think that they were able to get there because this is a high concept movie and it wants you to go with them and have a fun ride. You know, even the kid imagining Schwarzenegger in different roles. Remember, he's in class and he's bored, and then he starts to right? And you're like, and you would do things like that too, because I'd be sitting there if I'm watching some boring thing. I'm like, man, I wish Jason Voorhees would show up into this thing and just kill all these losers. And, you know, I forgot what movie. Like I'm watching like American Pie or something. I'm like, man, where's Jason Voorhees when you need him? So I love this movie. I mean, I talked a lot on it just now, but like I think it's great.
Oh, agreed. But the thing is, it's a movie made for action fans as well. I mean, you got like Frank McRae, best as the captain. Of course, he was in like 48 Hours, and shut the fuck up, convict.
F. Murray Abraham.
Oh,
yes.
Don't trust him. He's gonna. The kid.
His name is Fart.
He knows typecasting. He's like, wait, that's the villain. Don't trust him.
And it also has like I think Art Carney's in it. Like Ed Norton from The Honeymooners. Art Carney's in it too. He's like he's got a small part. It's like there was a lot of people in this movie.
Oh yeah,
the cartoon character is like, why would they team up? And then he's like, look, we're in a movie. Why would they team up a kid and a cop? And he's like, you know, it's like
I love the cat's voiced by Danny DeVito as well, which is a nice little nod to twins. Or also because ever since this movie, came out, I noticed this anytime I watch a movie is the 555 phone numbers.
Yeah.
In movies. I thought that was just genius. And I was like, every phone number in movies is always 555.
You know what? I don't think I picked up on that till I saw this movie. And this movie has ruined phone numbers forever, because ever since I saw this movie, I'm like, oh my God, it is always 555. Like, no. And then somewhere along the line, and I think this movie has something to do with it, they started to change that, and they would start making up like other numbers or whatever. But yeah, 55. Everything's 555. It's like, we have area codes. It's like,
Yeah, I love how you get a little cameo from Van Damme as well, and then James Belushi as well, and he's saying, I don't even like Arnold, but my wife does. And then you got
Belushi and him in Red Heat were awesome, man.
Yeah, I like Red Heat.
Another underrated movie. I love Red Heat.
Yeah,
I remember laughing through that movie. Just like Jim Belushi and Schwarzenegger were so good together. It was crazy.
I would watch the sequel, to be honest.
I always remember he's like, your partner doesn't leave you standing here with your dick in your hand. This guy's here.
There were so many good lines in that. And it's Walter Hill, of course, one of my favorite directors. So,
he's awesome.
Sorry, it's got a couple of comments here. So, as a kid, I felt like this was a movie made for me, kind of like Sidekicks. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And it was a movie me and my dad could both enjoy equally. Yeah. I was lucky enough. I got to see this in the theater. I don't think I quite got some of the references because, like I said, I actually became more of an action guy whenever I was older. I was more into horror when I was younger. Like, I appreciated Scream more than this at the time. But this did it before Scream. This is the Scream of action movies, basically.
Yep.
So it had classic action from my dad and tons of throwbacks. While I had the comedy, the low key language, hot babes, and pop culture references. Yeah, I mean, it really just had everything. Like, I love the fact that the explosives in the movie are all Acme. It was just like a cartoon, and then no matter what happens, like the bad guys always miss him, and like there's a shootout in his apartment, and like they're like that far away from him, he's still missing. He dies behind the couch, and it just shows you just how ridiculous it is. And I think some people didn't get that with the movie, is that you have to be a fan of the genre, and to really sort of get all tropes and everything that are going on.
Right.
I think that's why we appreciate it so much.
Well, it was ahead of its time. I feel a lot like this movie was like the 90s equivalent of Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Right.
Another movie that was way ahead of its time, sort of, breaking down the classic action hero and making him a goof and like he's got lipstick on his teeth and that. And then like the crazy fantasy stuff it's like, I don't think Big Trouble in Little China was as big a hit as it should have been. I think it's a cult classic, and I think this is the 90s version of it.
Yeah.
But I just don't think people were prepared for Arnold to be in this far out of fantasy comedy. Like, they just weren't. I think this was just after Terminator 2, if I'm not. This was his next film after Terminator.
Yeah, he just come off T2. Yeah.
I think people expected and wanted a Jack Slater movie.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Yeah.
Like, what? No, I think that they thought it was going to be like a Jack Slater movie, which is this movie's kind of making fun of that, but still being that, right? So. I think people were just like, wait, what's going on? He's in the movie, he's pulling the carrot, like what? It's like, doesn't he kill anybody? Like, what's happening? It's just the audiences are never prepared for anything that's going to be different. And then there's different good and there's different bad, right? Like you could like There's No Time to Die, different bad. And then there's The Last Action Hero, different. Different, different good, different bad. But I think people are just like, wait, what's going on? It's like you just got to watch this movie on its own terms and just like get into what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think people that don't have an imagination for something like this are the ones that don't care. Like if you don't understand that golden ticket and you can pull people out of the movie, or you can go into the movie. It's like, if that doesn't automatically appeal to you as an idea that, wow, if that was real, what would I do? Then you're not going to enjoy this movie. And that takes imagination, because some people would just be like, well, what do I care? I'm not going into a movie. That's dumb.
Yeah.
And then that's just like a breakdown of for the audience. There's like, I just can't get into that. It's not anything that I care about. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like we were saying in the Demolition Man chat a couple of weeks ago. This is sort of a good double bill with it because once again, it's another movie. The 90s had some great action movies that were ahead of their time, where people just maybe weren't ready for them. And the fact that Demolition Man is now a documentary is hilarious.
Yeah,
because when it was supposed to be this like satire. But this, the Last Action Hero, or Last Action Hero, I always used to call it the Last Action Hero, but you just call it Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
The Last Action Hero was definitely ahead of its time, and I think that, like you said, people are starting to sort of get to appreciate this movie for what it was and how it's, you know, having a look at all the genre tropes and everything. And I still think it holds up as a fun action movie in its own right. You got the comedy, but like the action scenes are great in it. I mean, some great stunts. I love the scene when the house blows up. And Danny's like, oh yeah, he'll be fine. The two cops will be dead. The two cops are hanging in the tree. 2 days from retirement.
Yeah,
I love that.
I think, and Bridget Wilson, was her first. I think this is her first movie.
Yeah, and she was awesome as well. When she's screaming, kicking the guy's asses.
If you harm one hair on your head, it's like, wait.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you know? I've never seen that done before. For someone challenge, it's like, okay. It's like, ping. What are you gonna do about it?
I love that scene. He made the movie Charles Dance. I mean, as Benedict. I mean, hello, I've just shot someone. He's out in the street, and I'm quite happy about it. Like, nothing happens.
There's that odd scene too where like he's propositioned by that prostitute. And he just looks at her. He's like, "How old are you?" And she's like, "Never mind." I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah,
there's this, and he's got the eye, the one eye he keeps changing. Like that was so awesome. And then he brings Tommy Noonan out, and Tommy Noonan always looks imposing to me.
Yeah.
Like when they cast him as the Tooth Fairy and Manhunter, I'm like,
yeah, man,
that's perfect.
And that's RoboCop 2. I don't care when it says I still love RoboCop 2, mostly because of him as Kane.
Of course,
yeah.
Of course, RoboCop 2 is genius. We just talked about that on my stream the other night.
Yeah,
RoboCop, both the first two are amazing.
Mm-hmm. The first two are awesome. The third one was not, and then the remake was a waste of time. So, so Ron, where have you been? I haven't seen you for a while. Ron's here.
Hey, Ron.
And one of my favorite movies growing up. What's up, Ron?
Hey.
I was too young to watch this when it came out. Jack the Ripper was great too. The Ripper, yeah, he was awesome. Stallone as Terminator. Arnold, yeah, I love that. Benedict was always monologuing as any remake or remaster. What do you mean? Like,
which would we prefer?
Remaster. There's no point. You can't remake a movie like that because it was of the time. Remaking it now would be suck because there aren't good action movies now. But outside of John Wick, really, and a couple other indie movies, but like I go to movies like once or twice a year to see like a proper action movie. I mean, there's just not out as much anymore, sadly.
It has to be Schwarzenegger because that movie had to have come out when it came out because that's the point of it. It's like
he was the genre. Right. And this is the one where it was super important because it was always like, oh, it's another Schwarzenegger flick or whatever. Like he's kind of the one that was reliable to always give you that kind of action movie. Stallone would try different films. Like Rocky and Rambo are not the same thing. Right? Like I know Commando and Raw Deal aren't exactly the same, but they're in the same world of same kind of movie.
Same kind of thing. Like, Rocky's a drama film and Rambo's a drama, I suppose too, but different way. So it needed to be Schwarzenegger. I couldn't see even Van Damme doing it because Van Damme didn't have the star power to do that. It had to be a Schwarzenegger movie for it to have worked.
Well, Schwarzenegger was always an outsider, right? Because he was from Germany. He wasn't American born. He had to come and make it in America. He was also at the top of his game. Terminator 2 had destroyed, the box office and really catapulted him. Like he was like, if you're talking about the top 5, if you're talking
I've got a different robot.
If you're talking about the top 5 like movie stars, especially around that time, he was like 1 or 2 or like I don't know where you put him, but he was up there, right? And he was great. And I think too, what threw people was the fact that John McTiernan made this movie, and people were thinking, oh, they did Predator together, which was, you know, a science fiction, well, not science fiction, it was an action film with a fantasy villain, right, with the Predator, but it was still like the first half of that movie is just them like it's a typical Schwarzenegger movie where he teams up with Carl Weathers and all these other guys, and he goes and he kills a bunch of like gorillas, right? It you know, it's crazy. So I think a lot of people thought, oh, they're going to do another movie in the same vein as Predator, because that's what they had done previously. People don't think outside the box usually. They just, oh, this is what I've seen before, so this is what I'm going to get. Mm-hmm. They don't realize that sometimes you get something different, and when they get it, they don't appreciate it till years later.
Mm-hmm. Or they don't even go back to it. I've just seen people who are like, oh, this sucks. It's like, when's the last time you saw it? You know, or it's weird. It's like there's these viewing patterns. People want to see the same thing repeated until it gets to a point where they say, oh, this is just another one of these. And it's like, yes, but you've missed the point sometimes where there have been movies that have changed, have done different things, and you didn't like them because they changed it.
Right.
It's almost like it has to work for the movie it's in. Like, you know, like, I don't know, like, you know, Jason should die at the end of the Friday 13th movie only to be resurrected in a silly way in the next one. You know, James Bond should win at the end of his movie because he goes on a mission, he succeeds. That's what
he should.
He should succeed, right? You know, whether or not his wife dies, it doesn't, he still succeeds, you know, in a mission or whatever. Like, you know, see the big thing, you know, Majesty's had a difference where it's like the wife got killed. So that was a sad ending. But James Bond, you know, wasn't made out to be like a goof or whatever like he was in this one. But like, so some things can change and some things can't. Like Last Action Hero is still an action movie. It just, as Owen said, even if you strip away the neatness of the ticket and the concept of him pulling out other characters, it's still a cool action movie. You can just watch it and be like, that was a cool movie. Like, it didn't need to be as smart.
Yeah, and I think the difference between this and something like Scream, which is the closest parallel, is I feel like this movie celebrated this sort of movie where Scream was sort of making fun a little bit more of the horror genre. You know what I mean? Like, I felt that a little bit more with Scream than I did with this one. This one felt like it was an honest homage and love letter to.
I say a love letter to,
where Scream was a little bit more like, oh yes, you know, she's going to go away, and it's almost like saying, you know, we're going to satirize the horror genre and make it better by pointing everything out. And I think and then everyone reacted well to Scream. Scream was a big hit. Right. Whereas Last Action Hero wasn't. And I think,
I don't know. I don't think Scream was doing that though. It's Wes Craven. All of the tropes that they made fun of, they replicated in the movie. Like she kept saying, oh, the girl should run out of the house instead of running upstairs, but then she runs upstairs. And they don't reference that later to say, "Oh, you're an idiot for running up the stairs." You just do it. I think Last Action Hero and Scream are pretty close to being the same kind of thing, where they are celebrating the horror, or at least the slashers. I see what you're saying. It seems more like they're kind of making fun of it a bit, but that's only because they took a comedy approach versus this action. Like Last Action Hero took more of a fantasy approach, where it's like, oh, we can pull people out of the movie, or we can go in and out, or whatever. But I mean, it is what it is. They're both cool for doing that. I think it'd be interesting if they had Scream where you could pull guys out. it's like this: the Ghostface comes out and fights himself or something.
I was wondering that earlier before we started. So I was thinking, is there a horror movie where someone is sucked into a horror movie and you can use the tropes to fight the villain in it or whatever? And I thought The Rise of Leslie Vernon is kind of like that.
There's a movie called Evil Laugh where the guy watches horror movies, and this is way before Scream, and he's like, why do people keep going to Haddonfield? You know, it's like they get killed, and literally. And this will just be a spoiler for this week because nobody knows what it is. He literally hides with the dead bodies. So the killer's dumping all the dead bodies in the basement, and he hides with the dead bodies. And when the killer comes to kill the final girl, he comes up from behind out of the dead bodies and kills the killer and is like, there, He goes, I just did what nobody else does. I just hid with the bodies. The killer lost track of how many people he had killed. And I thought, this is genius. I'm like, this is great. So, I guess that's the closest that I've seen in terms of someone being like horror movie knowledgeable and using that to defeat the bad guy.
A few comments here. So yes, so Last Action Hero was the peak of action, especially the Greek god style action heroes larger than life. Yeah. I mean, you do still get them like Dwayne Johnson and everything, but his movies mostly suck, unfortunately. So it's kind of a problem. I think we're close to being able to be in and partake in movies with VR, not actually being sucked into the screen.
It'll be like holodeck programs and stuff.
Yeah,
you just have a holodeck.
movies unrated. Agreed. Yeah, interesting. Does the title fit the movie? It seemed like there was going to be more action here. Yeah, I wish it was kind of an odd title because, like I said, the initial title was like Extreme Violence. I think it was going to be, and it was maybe something like that would have been a better title if they went for the R-rated route. But
what's an alternate title? You think? What would you have come up with?
I don't know. Jack Slater.
Jack Slater 4, and just
or The Adventures of Jack Slater, or something like that.
Right.
Or The Golden Ticket. You know.
That's what I was thinking, The Golden Ticket.
Yeah. Or The Exploding Golden Ticket. Extreme Golden Ticket. Yeah. Ron is saying, G-Man, sorry, I meant to watch your videos after you sent me the link. I will watch and comment on them.
Thank you.
Oh.
Mine is terrible.
What's wrong with you?
You won. 0-1.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I can't do it. It's like
I just I don't care if I sound like him. I just do the voice at the back of the throat. To me, it's not really Arnie I'm doing. It's more the Mad TV version.
Yeah.
They did. Like, Maria, you look at you, an anorexic clown.
Was that Will Sasso?
I think it was. Yeah. Brilliant. Stephen, in the close behind you, are those boxes of tapes of Costello sent to? Yes, they are.
Yes, no, they're empty boxes of like various figures and stuff that I just held on to because if I ever have to move or sell them, God help me if I have to sell them, I'll have the original boxes to send out.
Yeah. That's also where he keeps the blood of his enemies.
That's where I would keep the dead bodies if they would fit there.
Keep a hand or something. You don't need
to kill more midgets.
Yes, I have to find little people and just do that.
Oh my God, this is gonna get tagged.
I don't know what you're about. I don't care. We're not monetized.
We're gonna demonetize you.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Listen, Alec Baldwin just killed a bunch of people. Maybe we need to go after him. Like,
yeah.
Oh God, that was awful.
That's awful. I know.
That is awful.
You guys have moved on DVD, Blu-ray. There's just I have it on Blu-ray. Actually, there's a special edition they released recently, which has a whole bunch of special features. But I got the film already on Blu-ray, and I was like, do I care that much?
After this, I didn't need features.
No, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had the VHS and I upgraded to DVD, and then I haven't upgraded since. I've got close to I was up to about 4,000 movies, and I got rid of about 1,000-ish. But now I've started to climb back up, so I'm like at over 30 or 3,000 movies. It's just I can't keep upgrading. Like I'm already thinking, should I get the 4K Halloweens? And I'm like, I just bought the Halloweens. I'm like, but it's 4K Halloween, you know. And it's like, at some point you got to just be like, you know what, that's good enough.
This is fine. Yeah. I mean, I got the box set thing, the one we've all got. And
Halloween,
yeah. So you know that'll do me. Much as I love the movies, I mean, I wish I'd ordered it by mistake because I thought I was ordering the big version, which had like the producer's cut and the theatrical cut of like Halloween 6 and everything. Yeah. But unfortunately, it was just the normal version. But I was like, you know, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you do have to take a stand. And like Last Action Hero, definitely worth Blu-ray to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 4K?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this is Shane Black, and there's no Christmas theme to it. Was there? Is there a Christmas theme? I don't think there is.
Not that I recall.
One of the rare Shane Black films that isn't Christmas related, I think.
Shane Black loves Christmas.
He does. Yeah, man, loves his Christmas. So, I mean, it's funny. I can't remember. I was reading somebody the other day, and they're talking about The Last Boy Scout, which is one of my favorite movies. It's like my second favorite Bruce Willis film after Die Hard. And somebody was like, "It's too violent," and I was like, "There's no such thing."
Yeah, this is just like pansy talk, to be honest with you. Like, I don't understand what you're talking. Every movie has its thing. Like, I've been watching Halloween Kills reviews, and people are like, "Oh, it's just crazy, just what you're killing." Oh, yes.
It's a good thing that's not in the title.
I know.
It's called Halloween Kills. I want it to be violent as fuck. Otherwise, I want my money back. So, job done.
But wasn't there a bunch of kills in the 2018 one, which everyone loves?
Sure. But there was a perceived story in that one, even though the story didn't make sense. A lot of it didn't make sense, but anyway.
Yeah, but that's the conversation for next weekend.
That's going to be next weekend, Saturday.
Yeah, if anybody's interested, we're going to be talking about. I'll be on J-Man's channel next Saturday, and we're going to be doing a retrospective of the Halloween franchise and then ranking them. So I got to watch them all. I got to watch 4, 5, and 6 again, and maybe Resurrection.
Resurrection, the ending is a bit trash, but it's not beyond. It's not beyond anything. Like, there's some good stuff in it, and there's some interesting ideas, concepts, and it's directed by the guy who directed Part 2.
That's right. Yeah, Rick Rosenthal.
So, what time is 7:30? Did you say, or 7?
I can't remember. 7 or 7:30 Eastern.
Go to J-Man's channel and you'll see it anyway.
You'll see it there posted, yeah.
So, because I'm not going to bother doing the stream next Friday, I'll take that off because we're doing this one on Saturday. So, and then tomorrow night you're talking Dune.
We're talking Dune, so you're definitely welcome. I'll send you the link if you can make it. Cool. If you can't, that's okay too.
Yeah, I might jump on it because as usual, everyone's raving about it and calling it a masterpiece, and I was like, really? Have you seen good movies before?
So, question for you guys: where would you rank Last Action Hero in Arnold's filmography?
Definitely top 10. I haven't worked out. Well, Terminator 1 and 2 are number 1. Then Total Recall and Commando, then Predator, then Running Man. I feel like Running Man doesn't get enough love.
Yeah. Total Recall, like.
Then Last Action Hero, like, controversial statement. I actually prefer Last Action Hero to True Lies. I know I sort of mentioned this before. I'm going to have to watch True Lies again and see what I think of it. But it's been many years since I've watched it. But yeah, I would say that's where I would rank it.
Man, I don't think it would make my top 10, but Conan's my favorite. That's my Conan shelf right there.
Yeah,
Conan's my favorite movie of all time, and by default, I also like Conan the Destroyer, whether or not people like it or not. It's a comic book movie come to life. So it's the two Conans, the two Terminators, Total Recall. I like Predator. I like Commando's pretty awesome. I like Pumping Iron. I think Pumping Iron's in my top, probably like my 6th favorite. I like Last Action Hero. I also like Terminator 3.
What about Hercules in New York?
Yeah, that's cheese fun.
Yeah, actually, is. I watched last year or a few months ago.
Yeah.
And it's on Amazon Prime with the actual Arnie voice. It wasn't dubbed this time.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to see. So, best performance. What do you mean, Ron? Best performance of?
Is it his best performance?
What's Arnie's best performance?
Yeah.
Arnie's best performance is probably in like Maggie or Aftermath or something. It's probably whenever he does the more dramatic stuff. Actually, this is another movie that gets no love. We'll maybe do this near New Year, but I love End of Days. And isn't he like suicidal in that? I think his wife died or something. And there's a scene where he's like grieving, and I was like, oh well, Arnie's actually acting here. I don't think it's ever going to be his performance in Total Recall of just going,
yeah,
which is his best dialogue, I think.
Escape Plan 2, he goes bananas, especially when he's locked up.
Yes.
And he's really in agony, and you can tell, like, he starts speaking German, which when I saw that in the theater, I was like, I literally don't think I've ever seen Schwarzenegger talk German.
Yeah, talk his native tongue. Yeah.
Shocked. Right? Until I saw him on The Apprentice and he was talking German all.
And he's like, you're fired.
Yeah.
Last Action Hero remind you of another movie or pretty original? No, for the time it was actually original. It was way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Scream came afterwards. And that's funny. That's just my automatic go-to is Scream, where that constructs the slasher genre, whereas this was the action genre. So. Oh, there's a Christmas scene in Jack Slater 3. I thought there was. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
You had to get him in there.
What a way to spend that's right. Yeah. Mr. Freeze. Stay cool, bird boy.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Good scene. It did a really good job in T2.
Yeah.
You know, at the end when Edward Furlong's there and he does the whole I know now why you cry, but I can't do it sort of thing. And
it's something I can never do.
Oh god, that scene, that's a scene to watch.
Yes, and then right after that scene, John Connor gets shot in the face like an idiot as a kid in that Terminator Dark Fate. That's what they want you to. Yeah, that was supposed to continue from that movie. What a tragedy.
Just like fuck these two movies, and now we're just gonna kill them. Yeah. Best performance by actor in Last Action Hero. Oh, it's gonna be Jean-Claude Van Damme's cameo.
Sharon Stone. I like the way she
Sharon Stone. Yeah.
The kid.
The kid. Yeah, I like the kid.
He was good.
The kid is really good.
Actually, yeah, there's a scene towards the end. It's actually quite a heartbreaking scene from the kid. And he's like, he says, I hate this place or I hate this world. He says, I want to go live with you or whatever. And, you know, so many of us can be like that, where you've just had like, you know, a shit time at school or whatever else. Like, I want to just disappear into the movies or whatever, which I still do.
It's the kid and Charles Dance were definitely the best too.
Yes, the kid, Charles Dance. Yeah. Last Stand was good. That's not the one that got sort of dumped on. But I thought it was good.
I thought it was fine.
Well, my underrated one for him. See, at the party, Richter.
The party next time.
But my underrated Schwarzenegger is Eraser. Eraser is a brilliant film to me.
Yeah. Well, we'll do a show on that then in a few weeks or something, because I just love talking about Arnie movies. I like doing my Arnie voice, and I laugh because nobody else does. And it's just such a great character. That's the thing. I mean, people are like, you know, oh, is this guy going to be the next Arnie or whatever? There's never going to be another Arnie.
No.
He is Arnie, and there will never be anyone to match him. Just like there's Stallone, and you know, they both had two very different careers. So,
well, the writing is not there either. Like, people are forgetting, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not the only person that's doing anything good. Right. It's the entire production. Like, John Milius is like bringing an entire fantasy world to life in the most realistic way possible, keeping it gritty and all that. And then we got auteur Monsieur James Cameron, who's crazy, right? Like, it's like there's a lot of talent in films. Like, when Schwarzenegger came in, it was something to be in movies, right? Because it was like he had to live up to the standards that these guys were setting, and he did, and then he became a star. Where the production values are good, the story is good, like Total Recall, right? It's like everything is good, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is cool. Now, you might have some people that you like. You're like, okay, I like this person or I like that person. Yeah, but there's going to be something wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong in Conan, Terminator, Total Recall, right? Like, I can't think of a bad point of Total Recall. Like, there's no negative.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
It's just awesome. But now, even if you like, let's say you like Jason Statham, okay, but every Jason Statham movie, he maybe is cool, but there's going to be either the story's just generic, right? It's like, that was good. It was a generic action movie, or it's like there's something missing, right? Because the filmmakers aren't as good, right? Like,
yeah, you're right. And Schwarzenegger went on a long run of working with very talented directors. Even when he went into the comedy genre, it was Ivan Reitman who was the director, who is one of the best comedy directors who ever lived. You know, he had Milius, he had Cameron, he had McTiernan, he had Paul Verhoeven. Like, all these guys were.
Where the hell is Paul Verhoeven now? Oh,
I know. Where is that?
Where is he to save us? Is what the question is. Like he had such talent behind the camera, right? And you don't see that anymore. To your point, J-Man, like, you don't see that. Like, who's the great directors now? We can name them. Like, Tarantino's a great director.
Right.
I guess Christopher Nolan's you got to put him there. But, like, it's not like it used to be where we had an embarrassment of riches. Now it's like you really got to, oh, God, I hope I get there's a couple of good movies before the end of the year. Whereas, like, I was saying this about John Wick. When I first saw John Wick, I reacted, I went, yeah, that's pretty good. Like, we used to get that all the time in the 80s and 90s. That used to be the standard. John Woo, you know, he came over. He did Broken Arrow and Face Off. That was awesome, right? Like, you know, you had Jan de Bont did Speed, right? And then like you had these movies that were coming out all the frigging time. Now it's like we're starved. It's like, where the hell are the fun movies anymore?
Mm-hmm. Well, as the guy's username, give me back my action movies. Eraser was my first DVD. Actually, it was one of my first DVDs as well, I think.
Yeah, Eraser's awesome, man.
Yeah, rate the movie out of 10 stars for The Last Action Hero. Rate it 8. I'm going to go 8.
I'm going to go 9.
Yeah, I would say 9. The way I do my rating system is story, pacing, artistry, characters, and enjoyment. Each thing gets out of 2. You get a score out of 10. So I would give everything a perfect score, except I think the pacing. I think there's a point in time where the movie just starts. There's just a little bit in the middle where I start to get a little bit like, okay, I got it. Can we move this on?
Mm-hmm.
I think a 15-minute edit, maybe 10-15 minutes out, and then you'd have like a perfect score. The story to me is amazing. I love the way that they shot everything. The action looks good. I could see what was going on. It's clear. I love the distinction of the movie world where everything is super bright, pretty, and looking great, and then the real world sucks, right? I love all of that. Characters are great. I love all the characters, the villains, the heroes, whatever. And my enjoyment value of that is the highest score I can give. So I would only remove a little bit of the pacing. So I could say 8.5, but I'll go up to 9 just to bump it up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's awesome. I really like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Eraser's.
I like Eraser.
Eraser just doesn't get any credit because, again, I feel like, Ron, we were getting these all the time in that era. So we were like, yeah, you know, this is cool. Schwarzenegger's cool. Yeah, it's action movie. Cool. Right? Meanwhile, now, if that came out now, it'd be like, holy shit.
Finally, an action movie to watch.
Jeez. But like,
I mean, that bit at the end when he comes out with the 2 guns and the action hero music is playing, you're just like, yes. And I was like, it's such a rare occasion these days when there's like what I call a fuck yeah moment in a movie where something happens, you're like, fuck yeah. Like, I don't remember the last time I did that in a movie.
Dude, the last time I did it was Halloween Kills. When Tommy Doyle's like, we're gonna fucking take this guy down now. I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. And then they just get all annihilated. But like that. But prior to that, I can't remember. Like me, like I mean, not like I mean, I guess nobody had a few good moments in there too, right? But yeah, that you know, go get him. It that does not happen anymore. People equate you having an emotion like that as cheesy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like I'm sitting here thinking, this is kick-ass. Yeah, let's do it. You know, let's go. Come on. And it's like, oh, this is so cheesy. Anything that evokes a response from the audience is seen as cheesy. You're supposed to watch movies like this and be like, oh, that was brilliant. It's like, okay, A, was it really brilliant? Dune. B, you know, like B, is it really that bold and inventive? No Time to Die. It's like they keep saying these words. Oh, it's visionary. Oh, it's a bold take. Oh, it's a new like a new vision. It's the director's vision. It's what he wants to present. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, you know, there's something to be said for things that have survived all of this time. We wouldn't be talking about, you know, action movie. We like action movies unless there was a Schwarzenegger who continuously made great action films. It's like these people create the genre. I mean, an action movie prior to these 80s action movies was more like, you know, there was a couple of shootouts. Like I remember
Bronson and Clint Eastwood kind of movies, you know, Dirty Harry, things like that. You know,
like people are calling for a few dollars more, which is a great film for me. That's an action film, right? And there's a great shootout and stuff, but really, like, that's nothing, right? Compared to what action movies are, you know, and what you're doing with the Action Elite to say, this is the elite action films. Like, sure, a few dollars more to me is not an action movie. That's just like a Western, it's a
Spaghetti
Western.
Yeah.
It's a spaghetti Western. It's not, I wouldn't call it an action film. What we define,
I consider Westerns action, though, the way I see it. If they're shooting, and so I'm like, yeah, it's an action movie.
Right. But I'm saying, like, there's one or two
Arnie, yeah.
Yeah, right. There's like one or two, like there's one or two shootouts, like him and Thing team up, and then there's a good battle there. But that's it. We're not talking about consistent levels of high octane action where it's really raising the bar. It's like, oh, what did he do? Okay, well, forget that. This next movie we're going to do even more, and that really isn't the case.
I mean, Tony Jaa does it. Like, The Protector was just like you're
almost outrageous.
Like, that was outrageous. Like, when he's in, like, I remember, J-Man, when you first showed that to me, and I saw the restaurant scene, and I was literally like beside myself.
Well, him going up that, it's like 4 minutes of the pagoda going up.
Yeah,
one take scene. Yeah,
I'm like, he's still going, and then he kills. Or he dismantles like 100 men in that one room, and I'm like, what is going on?
And you thought the scene was over?
Yeah.
And then more people showed up. Like,
endless goons.
I'm thinking, if I'm goon number 47, like, I'm not going in that room. I'm like, I just saw 46 people get.
Yeah, I'll be at Moe's.
Yeah, like
the pay isn't worth it.
Yeah, right. Like, this isn't worth. This ain't Squid Game or whatever. We get that pot of money. I was like, I'm done.
I'm on the last 2 episodes of Squid Game, so I'm going to finish that tomorrow morning.
It's good. It's good. It's a good show. It's a good show.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I teared up at the end of the Marbles episode.
I will not say you don't know anything, right? Nothing's been spoiled for you?
No, so I got 2 more to do, so yeah. Oh.
Try to not let it get spoiled, though.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to finish it tomorrow morning, so.
The Marbles was the best episode, easy.
Oh, yeah, it was a beautiful episode, yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose I was waiting for somebody to bring this one up.
Avengers Endgame. I was going to say that, Brendan. Yeah. I was going to say that when they all came in through the portals and the music soared, and like, it's just because I think it's Chris Evans and Captain America, and he did such a great job. And he turns, I've seen this scene so many times. It's like he turns and he's looking at Thanos, and you can literally see in his eyes, like, you're fucked, right? Mm-hmm. And he turns and he looks, and he's like, Avengers, assemble. And everyone just goes running into battle. And I'm like, the crowd roared. I remember that the crowd roared at that. After that, it's garbage again. But, like, that scene is amazing.
And then Marvel Studios decided to try to go lower. They tried to make everything worse than the previous thing. Remember how the MCU was getting better? It was like, it was getting better. And then it was and then now it's like, oh, we have to go back down. And so it's like, make this not as good, not as good, not as good, not as good, not as good.
Yeah, I mean, they had a perfectly good thing, and they destroyed it with the girl power thing. But until then, it was pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
You should kill off Christmas and Expendables 4.
Well,
Just a surprise what it is. As announced, Stallone is handing over the reins. No, it's Stallone. He's definitely, and I don't know. I don't want to see him go as well. For fuck's sake, stop it.
And that had a huge hell yeah moment too in the theater when they blew up the dock or the bridge or whatever the hell it was. Yeah. Like, that was crazy.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, so there are still a few moments in. I'm full of shit then. Okay. Broken Arrow, another Sunday.
Sorry, go ahead. Read Ron.
Yeah, Broken Arrow, another Sunday night in the 90s. Oh, that was great. I love Broken Arrow.
Genius.
Why do they keep killing off these heroes and pretending that that's a thing?
Yeah, so, and making it okay. Indiana Jones is fucked. There's no way.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
I'll burn the theater to the ground.
I want to be an archaeologist. I was taking history courses. My best course was history in high school. I wanted to be an archaeologist. I learned about all of the kingdoms of Egypt. I did the exam for history without studying. I knew the answers. Like, I learned it. I learned the Middle Kingdom. I literally learned everything. I want to be an archaeologist. And through Indiana Jones, I play Indiana Jones. I play act. Indiana Jones is like my guy. So it's like, I will absolutely lose my shit. Like when it's gonna happen, he's gonna die for sure. But why do they think this is okay? Like, Star Trek ended with Captain Kirk in the 6th film, and they didn't kill off Captain Kirk. Now, they did kill him off in Generations, and nobody likes Generations. And even the people that like Generations say, I like it, but why did Kirk die with that stupid thing?
I agree.
Like, why can't there just be a at the end of Star Trek 6, he says, you know, just pick a star and let's go, and that's it, and end it that way. It's like
the Last Crusade ended Indiana Jones perfectly, riding off into the sunset. We did not need any more Indiana Jones movies.
That was perfect. Yes, I've got my issues with Crusade, but that is not one of them. That was a perfect trilogy. They did everything perfectly, and it's like he wrote off and it's like, this is awesome, everyone's cool and we're good. And I thought, you know what, it's a crowd pleaser, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'll just read the books whenever I want.
And if I want to read, if you want expanded universe, you can read the several novels. There's comic book stories. The Dark Horse had the property for whatever X years. I don't get why this is. And then to have the audacity to say this person will return is outrageous. Like, do they kill? You know, Michael Keaton says, I don't want to do any more Batmans. Let's kill Batman. And then we get the next Batman. So we're going to kill Batman every time somebody wants to reboot it. Like, I just don't get it. Yeah,
just because the actor doesn't appreciate the role.
Yeah,
he spends all the time whining about the role, but whatever. So, think they'll bring Shia back in Indy 5? No way. He already
I hope to God not.
Yeah, he won't be anyway. So
now that girl's gonna take over anyways.
Yeah, and that's the chick who wrote No Time to Die. So it's gonna suck. So, yeah, it was a Temple of Amazon. Transformers crossover. Watch it.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I think that was sort of the last big sort of event.
Yeah.
That's like a superhero movie, though. It's not like our action movie. Because as someone asked, you know, where's the review for Avengers Endgame on the site? And I was like, it's not there because people just whine whenever we post it. It's an action movie when you post that. I'm like, oh, whatever. So I removed it. So.
Well, you've got the movie elite.
Yeah,
movie elite. So that anything can go on that site. Yeah, I like the idea that the Action League, you know, kind of tries to stick to
just the genre and stuff. Yeah, I mean, particularly me. I mean, I love watching all the obscure stuff. So stay tuned actually next week for my Sumi article. Sumi, I like Highlander 3. So which is
I like all the Highlanders.
So I just love the mythology behind Highlander, obviously being a Scot. Then I love it. When I was watching it last night, and when he's with a sword training in the Highlands of Scotland, I'm like, so
awesome. I have the original theatrical poster, 27x41 Highlander 2 poster.
Oh, really?
I've got a lot of original posters that are hard to get, like Mad Max and Thunderdome and all that, and Road Warrior. It's like, and acquiring Highlander 2 was very difficult. I was very happy to get that. Because I do like I like the Renegade version of Highlander 2 obviously better, which is the one where they don't say they're aliens, where they just get their time. Yeah. But I love the Highlanders. I love the first three, and I didn't mind part 4. I haven't seen part 5 yet, though I own it.
I don't think I've seen 4 or 5, so I need to give them a watch because Donnie Yen's in one of them.
Yes, he might. I don't know if he's in 4 or 5, but part 4 has Connor and the TV show guy.
Do you have to have seen the TV show? Because I only saw like a couple of bits and pieces of the TV show.
No, you just have to know that guy's from the TV show. But they didn't have the Raven, which is the female immortal. People call them Highlanders, but technically you're not. If you're not from Scotland, you're not really a Highlander.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was always the thing with Highlander. Is like, you know, he's French. Well, I'm Connor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. I'm like, really, you sound French.
No. You know, Stephen pointed this out, and then you actually have Sean Connery playing a Spanish guy.
Yeah,
right?
Ramirez, and I'm like,
and you're like,
what?
What happened here? Did somebody not, you know, it's like this, I think something changed along the way. Like they weren't going to do it. And then they said, oh, let's just make it about like this, you know, Scottish characters. Like, well, we've already cast everybody. Who cares?
Yeah, and Sean Connery is like, I'm not doing a voice. I'm fucking Sean Connery. I don't need to do a voice.
Well,
he didn't do it.
The best is when he played a Russian submarine commander on
We shall into history.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to shoot. What is it?
I love Sean Connery. He's my wallpaper on my computer right now from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So
you will always be the best James Bond. J-Man, if you're interested, I've watched and I've reviewed this already. A Kind of Magic, making the original Highlander.
Oh wow!
Book. So you can have this if you want. It's an awesome read, and it really goes into all the behind the scenes of the making of the film.
That's awesome.
But I'm running out of space, so I'm just like, here, take my stuff.
I just moved to the. So Owen, I'm gonna have you and your brother over real soon. I think if you can.
Yep.
And we're gonna watch some classic. Well, I'd like to show you a classic movie, but we can watch something else as well. But I want to show you. I redid my entire room, so it's like it's epic now, man.
I already looks it.
Yeah, this is the master bedroom. Is now my room.
Nice. Everyone sleeps in the kitchen.
No, I sleep in the solarium. It's like because my wife's collectibles are in the other room and my collectibles are here. I'm like, screw it.
This is the collectibles house now.
This is the collectibles house, right?
So Ron was saying here, I think he's talking about Avengers. I couldn't figure out how to only transfer the stones so fast. I thought Thanos was going to say, "What the fuck? How'd you do that, bro?"
Yeah. It does defy, because you would think that he would feel him removing the stones from the gauntlet, and you'd feel like when they went in there was almost like a gravity component where it was like harder to take them out. But movie logic.
I just thought this movie has a talking raccoon, so logic doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought, magnets. He said, maybe. So I own all the Highlanders proudly. Attaboy.
Nice.
Adrian Paul. See,
Adrian Paul.
How many seasons were there of the Adrian Paul Highlanders?
I think lots.
I think there was like 6 or 7, which is why I never bothered getting into it. I mean, I would like to, because I'm a huge fan. Christopher Lambert is in it sometimes, isn't he? In the series. What's happened to J-Man? He's just like frozen. That is the best freeze ever.
That is the best freeze. Should do a screenshot of that.
There you go. Print screen. There we go. That's all. Dear. Anyway, so Ron said, because I like those Tony's gauntlet Thanos was wearing, but couldn't figure out the switch. Yeah. I don't know how they did that. I literally only watched the movie twice. Yeah, he is now Mr. Freeze. The chilling sound of your doom. And he's gone.
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, well, he displeased me, so I had him killed. Anyway, I kind of went off on various random tangents like we always do.
We always do.
Do anybody have any other things to say about Last Action Hero that we haven't mentioned already?
I mean, it's a genius film. To me, it's one of Schwarzenegger's top 10. I would probably put it closer to the bottom of the top 10, but that's not saying anything about the quality of film. It's saying more about the quality of his filmography.
Yeah, agreed. And I still want Jack Slater movie. I wish we'd got that. I mean, what would have been brilliant if we'd actually had like a Jack Slater trilogy and then Last Action Hero, so then it would just sort of referenced it all.
That would have been genius if they did one.
And that would have been amazing.
Great.
Yeah. Imagine doing that where they actually do like just a proper franchise, and then at the end it totally like deconstructs it. That would be awesome.
That would have been awesome.
Oh, gee, man, sorry guys, my computer went into auto update and shut me down. I hate when that happens. Yeah, this new laptop here, which I have, which is why I'm looking amazing. Is it keeps coming up with the McAfee stuff. And it's saying please update. I'm like, fuck off. Anyway, so Last Action Hero is a lot of fun. I love that Ali Ong is in it, even though he doesn't have like a spoken part. Just seeing him as a henchman, as any fan of like 80s and 90s action knows that Ali Ong needs to be in your action movie. I mean, he's just in Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that matters, he's in.
Yeah. Was he in Die Hard? Was he in Die Hard?
Yeah, he was in the first one. He's the henchman that eats a candy bar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's he gets killed on the stairwell leading up to the roof, I think.
Yes, I think so.
Something like that.
So he gets killed, of course, because he's Ali Ong, and that's what happens to him.
Yeah, he has to. But like Last Action Hero is one of the strangest buddy cop movies ever.
It is. Yeah,
that's how I sort of think of it. It's like, it's Arnold and a kid and they're buddy cops. Like the closest equivalent, I guess, I could say in his filmography is Kindergarten Cop, which is also an amazing film.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing where he's dealing with children or kids, but it's still it's still serious, right? You still have a kick-ass villain and whatnot. So
I have an idea for the next show, which isn't going to be next week because, like I said, we're taking next week off. It might be the next few weeks because there's a few movies I want to catch up on. But I'm going to do a themed stream, and I'm going to call it "When Action Stars Try Comedy."
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And we can talk about like Arnie trying comedy, like with Junior Kindergarten Cop, and then Van Damme doing Welcome to the Jungle, and Stallone doing Stuff With My Mom Was Shooting, Oscar and stuff like this. And we could just talk about that, you know, with the highs and lows of whenever action stars go outside of their normal genre and try something that's out and out comedy. So I think that'll be fun. So we'll do that in a few weeks.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
Yeah. That's right. Al gets an ice cream cone to the head. That's right. It's one of the best kills in the movie. So, I mean, it's a cartoon. I mean, that's the thing. Like when you got the Acme TNT and everything, you know, and that's the thing is that action movies are generally Saturday morning cartoons.
They are.
And in fairness, although I know we're generally not fans, that really is the Fast and Furious movies. They're Saturday morning cartoons. I mean, they are really the old school action movies, really, when you think about it.
They are. But it's something is still missing from those sort of films. It's something like, I don't feel like Last Action Hero or any of the 80s.
Hello,
J-Man, your freeze frame.
That was brilliant.
Was it funny? Okay.
You're like,
yeah. All right. Trying to
I think one got a screenshot of.
It was brilliant.
Did you get a screenshot?
You look like you were just picking up the soap in prison.
All right, so I'm on my cell phone.
We're just about to wrap up anyway. So
okay, yeah.
Ron has now named you Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
This should be your new username.
You're not sending me to the cooler.
Yeah.
I love. Finally, a laundry service that delivers.
That's okay. See,
it's like he's been holding on to that. Like, what the hell?
Arnie is the best thing in that movie. I mean, because everyone's like, yeah, the movie's terrible, but Arnie is Arnie in it, and he's at his Arnie best. I mean, you know, it's nice to see you. You know, I mean, it's like every pun imaginable, and it's like that's my field day because I just love seeing all of his lines from it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Uma Thurman was awful in it, though. I mean, generally, it's awful mostly.
It's an awful movie,
but
it's so. I still rank it ahead of Batman Forever because it's silly throughout. It's not doing a bait and switch, which I feel like Forever did. And I appreciate that. It's just it's a ridiculous film. It is literally ridiculous from beginning to end.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So. Fast and Furious movies don't overacting. Yeah, even though they try to by saying family, mutter, family every 2 minutes, and like, I don't care. There are also too many characters in Fast and Furious. I'm like, wait, who's this guy again?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought he died. Wait, what? So
to me, it ended after 5. 5 was the perfect way to wrap it up. I just feel like I just considered the series was done after 5.
The series was done after Paul Walker passed away. I mean, once he was gone, I mean, there's no reason apart from greed to continue on with the franchise for me. But anyway, that's all for another tangent. So Uma as Poison Ivy, she's the best thing about that movie. Yeah, she looked great, but it was the line, just what I had in mind. And just the way she says it, I was like, that's just the worst line delivery I've ever heard.
Oh yeah.
It's up there
Batman and Robin, militant arm of the warm-blooded oppressors. First I'll rid myself of the fur and feathered pests, then Gotham will be mine for the greening. I've seen that movie a thousand times. I know all of the dialogue. I don't know, it's a guilty pleasure. I watch it. I continuously watch it on loop.
And yet the worst acting in any Batman movie is actually Marion Cotillard. Yeah, my father's work is done. It's the worst death scene ever.
I know, but she's super attractive though. But yeah,
so we'll let her off.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in anything since, mind you.
I saw her in Allied. That movie, Brad Pitt, which was directed by Robert. I think it was Robert Zemeckis directed it.
Oh, there's somebody I miss. I always thought Robert Zemeckis, and I was like, when you got all these new Star Wars films, I was like, I want to see Robert Zemeckis do a Star Wars movie. You can do that.
Yeah.
Stop bringing up these talentless people like J.J. Abrams and actually get someone who knows how to make a film. Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman. Oh, hi. So
I know. It's like so random. Like, hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. He doesn't even disguise his voice. He's just, hi, I'm George Clooney.
Yeah.
Who else would you be? I couldn't tell you.
Are you sure you're Batman? Show me some ID. He's got the card, the expiration dates, whatever.
Yeah, I like that.
I will say there was the funny part. One funny part was where they're bidding over Poison Ivy, and then he's like $1 million. He goes, I bid. He goes $2 million. And he says to Dick, he's like, you don't have it. And he's like, I'll borrow it from you. It's like Robin's using Batman's money to
bid against him.
Good boy. Yes, my favorite. But also, the one line I quote the most, going back to Last Action Hero, is, of course,
no sequel for you.
I say that so often. Anytime somebody dies, like, no sequel for you.
Yeah,
my favorite scene from the end. And I love how, you know, he doesn't just like shoot Benedict, like explodes. Why is he exploding? Because it's like a movie, and you know, it's brilliant. So anyway, I think we shall wrap it up there, chaps. I think that was a good one. Thanks to everybody for viewing, and remember to like and subscribe, and tune in next Saturday to J-Man's channel for our Halloween retrospective. I don't know, was it taking the 60 show, but tried too much and did.
Yeah.
Definitely agree.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks for joining us, Ron. Good to see you back again. Yeah, G-Man will speak to you in a second once we're done here. So,
cool.
All right, chaps, and we will see you next time. And remember, you are the Action Elite.